Missouri's an attractive location. The more food and beverage processing that comes to Missouri, the better it is for the state's agriculture. But it takes coaxing to get it located here. Those behind-the-scenes efforts are easily taken for granted and often not entirely understood. I'm Tom Stever. On this edition of the Soybean Spotlight podcast from Missouri soybean farmers and their checkoff, we're talking to Subhash Alias, the CEO of the Missouri Partnership. We take a deep dive into what that is, what it does, and how they're trying to attract companies to Missouri that will benefit the state's farmers. What is Missouri Partnership, Subhash?
So we're a public-private, nonprofit economic development group. We really do one thing, and that's attract new companies to the state. So our public sector partner is the Missouri Department of Economic Development, and our private sector partner is the Hawthorne Foundation. Essentially, we go out and market Missouri and bring new companies to Missouri to create jobs for Missourians.
Tell me about Missouri Partnership's relationship with Missouri soybeans.
So we, as part of our activity in attracting companies, we worked on this American Foods Group project, which is a beef plant, 2,400 cattle a day beef plant, the largest project of jobs and CapEx that we've ever located in the state. They're under construction, almost finished in Warren County, Missouri. So the folks at Missouri Soybean Association and Missouri Farmers Care and Missouri Soybean Merchandising Council and Missouri Corn, all these groups came together and they saw this project. And this is helping farmers, both that are raising cattle or hogs, and it's also helping farmers that are growing grains. The whole point was, how can they attract more companies like American Foods Group to Missouri to consume more livestock and grain? They reached out to us through Missouri Farmers Care and said, can we do more of this for the state? And so through Missouri Soybean Merchandising Council and Missouri Corn Association and Missouri Farmers Care, we set up this partnership we're calling YIELD. We've always been pursuing food and beverage projects, but we are doubling down on that activity because of their investment in us.
You pointed that out, that this partnership is called the YIELD Partnership. It sounds as if Missouri Partnership is involved with several projects that will benefit Missouri soybean growers, as you said, from the Beck's soybean seed processing facility to a beef processing plant, altogether referred to as the YIELD Partnership. What's the goal here?
The goal is to attract more food and beverage companies to Missouri. Our goal is to attract companies, but we also target food and beverage companies. But the YIELD Partnership, they also want to attract food and beverage companies because that would consume more livestock and then grain. They want to replicate the same thing we did with American Foods Group, but maybe it's another type of protein. So we are working constantly with companies like that. We also worked on the Swift Prepared Foods facility in Moberly, and also Principe Italia in Columbia. Principe is Italian meats, Swift is bacon. So we are at the front end of attracting companies to Missouri. So we are constantly casting our net to food and beverage companies, and they're looking at Missouri. We hold their hand through the entire process, and we sell the state. So we were very successful with American Foods Group, and we want to continue to do more projects like that.
Is Missouri Partnership primarily food and beverage?
We are not. We work on all kinds of projects: manufacturing, distribution centers, headquarters, back office operations. We've been seeing construction materials manufacturing, but food and beverage is a big component within manufacturing and one of our largest sectors.
So how did you get together? How did Missouri Soybeans discover you, and how did you discover them and make this a good partnership?
So Ashley McCarty at Missouri Farmers Care, she is obviously very tied in with the commodities groups. And so she was at one of her meetings, and Missouri Soy and Corn Merchandising Council, these folks are on her board, and she heard that they were very happy and pleased with the American Foods Group project. And they said, can we stand up our own organization that does this to bring more food and beverage to the state? And Ashley said, why do that when there's a group that already does it? So we met, we've had multiple meetings, And we've had this yield partnership essentially doing what we already do, but we just turn up the volume on food and beverage. And we do that because of this investment by the Missouri Soybean Merchandising Council, corn, soy, and Missouri Farmers Care.
There's obviously a lot of outreach in what you're doing to attract food and beverage businesses. Tell me about the outreach. How do you get together?
It's a very deliberate process. There are sort of three components of it. Marketing, so this is getting the word out about Missouri and why it's a great place to locate a facility. So in marketing, for example, we went to a food and beverage conference in Chicago held by the Wall Street Journal. There, we had a fleet of Ubers or Lyfts, the car share ride services, and we had them wrapped with our messaging about our interest in food and beverage. So all the attendees of these conferences get to see that. We have a very active social media campaign. So we're constantly pushing out the success of American Foods Group, Swift, Principe, Cereal Ingredients, and St. Joseph. All these food and beverage companies that we've attracted, we push that message because success then breeds success. So social media is very active. We've also brought in some influencers. So these are things we didn't really do before, but this opportunity with Yield has opened our eyes to trying new techniques in marketing. So we brought in 3 influencers who spent a couple of days here in Missouri, and they posted and shared everything about Missouri that they saw. That was also part of this. Another segment of what we do is business development, or more the sales component. So this is identifying leads, cultivating leads, and converting those leads into business attraction opportunities. So in business development, when it comes to food and beverage, we're going to conferences that are food and beverage targeted. We go to the trade shows, shake hands with people, exchange business cards, generate interest. But one of the areas where we have the most success is through site location consultants. Site location consultants, this is a boutique industry. These individuals advise their clients on how to locate facilities strategically. We want to make sure that we know them and that they know us. And so a lot of these consultants focus just on food and beverage projects. We know these consultants and we've brought them into Missouri. We're constantly in front of them. We've got people that are meeting with them this week. I mean, we've got folks on the road all the time meeting with these individuals. That's what we call business development. And then the very bottom of we call this the sales funnel. The very bottom is project management. Once we have a company kind of in our web that said we are interested in Missouri, we deliver high touch, high customer service, and we do everything we can do to win. We want to stand out from other states. We compete fiercely with other states, and we do this with our Hawthorne investment, and we do this with this Yield investment, and we just shine brighter when we have this partnership.
I'm sure it changes from client to client, but what is the message?
It's a great question. We actually tailor our message to what the client's looking for. So we can talk about food and beverage and our ag partnerships. We can talk about that left and right. But when it comes down to a project, we come and we have discovery meetings. We find out what is it that is the driving factor of this particular company's interest. So with the American Foods Group project, it was about finding labor. So we had to demonstrate that we had the labor in the state. It was also about a site. This is crucial. Can they find a large enough site that has the utilities to it? And if the utilities aren't there, is there a path to get there to secure those utilities? That's a big component of this as well. And then a project like the American Foods Group, not everybody was welcoming it with open arms. Most people did, but food processing, it's controversial. And so most people liked it, but not everybody did. So there was also what community is going to welcome them. And that sometimes is just as important as all those other very basic factors. We call that business climate. What is the business climate of Missouri and these specific counties and cities for food and beverage? So we coach our partners to say, if you want food and beverage, you've got to demonstrate that you want it. Because you've got to want them, and they need to know that they want you. And so it's got to be a partnership between these two groups. So that's also a big part of it. But then there's basic things like what are the taxes, right? We're the second lowest corporate income tax among states that have corporate income tax. Manufacturers are sales tax exempt for the usage of the equipment. Same thing with the energy. We've got really good incentive programs that help lower the operating costs of these operations too. So there are a whole host of issues besides our central location, dedicated skilled workforce. We've got training programs. I mean, we tailor all of this to one company. The same message is not the same from company A to company B.
So you're sitting across the table from a prospective business person that might do food and beverage business here. What's your pitch? What do you tell them?
We extract from them. Let's first find out, we have a discovery meeting. What is it that you need with your operation? We talk about our central location. We talk about our workforce. We talk about our training programs, our low-cost profile. That's a big part of our value proposition. The fact that we have other food and beverage companies that are in the state. We've got a Department of Agriculture led by Director Chris Chin, who's an absolute incredible advocate for food and beverage and ag. We bring in her as well. Governor Kehoe is a first-generation cattle farmer. Governor Parson, cattle farmer. So we've got leadership at all levels that are all about food and beverage and ag. And so we bring in those resources. We've mobilized members of the cabinet. They all come in and they help us sell Missouri. So essentially, it's a very tailor-made approach on how we talk to somebody and how we make that pitch.
If you could change anything about Missouri to make this more attractive to the people you're trying to attract, what would it be?
What I would love to see is Missouri Farmers Care has their Ag Ready community program. So that means that a community is ready for a project like this. We would love to see more communities that are showing and demonstrating their strong interest in these type of projects, because that makes it easier for us. And it signals to those companies, Missouri is not just open for business, but eager for our type of operation. So when we go to a company, we've told them about our partnerships with Yield. Their eyes light up. We've got one that we're working on right now where we brought in Missouri Farmers Care. Ashley was there. Director Chin was there. Director Hadaway with Missouri Department of Economic Development. We all helped sell this company on Missouri. And we had this cohesive message of we have won at food and beverage projects. We want to continue to win at food and beverage projects. And this is why. It's all been part of our pitch. There are university programs. There's so many things that we want to bring to these clients so that they can consider us.
How has the Yield partnership moved the needle for agribusiness coming to Missouri?
So a couple of things. We have turned up the heat on this marketing. We did it before. So one thing that was very important to us is we weren't going to change and veer from what we already do. We already pursued food and beverage projects. We are just doing it even more. The fact that we talk about this Yield partnership has engaged some of these site consultants I told you about. They were extremely thrilled to hear it, because when we tell them that we are actively pursuing projects like this, not every state is doing that. So the fact that we just told them about Yield was music to their ears, and you could see that they said this state wants this kind of project. Here's the other thing. We had a site visit. We rolled out the red carpet. We used Yield funds to help do that. And they were blown away by the site visit. The client said it was the best site visit that they've had on this particular client group, and they are hopefully going to be coming back again soon. We have to demonstrate that Missouri is one of 50 states, and we compete fiercely with 49 states and countless countries. So Yield helps us stand out against all these other states.
What should people in agribusiness around Missouri and farmers around Missouri, what should they look forward to as far as this partnership is concerned for the future?
If they hear of opportunities about maybe a company that is looking to make an investment, let us know. I mean, we're a Missouri partnership. Let us know. Contact any one of their friends in agriculture, and they should point them to us. We have the attack plan for these types of projects. We do this every single day. We led 54 projects across the industries, not just Yield, in fiscal 24. This is all we do, is this effort. So, one, we expect to have more success. The other thing is it's important to have patience. It takes time. We don't just pick up the phone and a company comes running. It takes a lot of courtship. It takes a lot of dedication. It's a very surgical process, and it takes patience. It's important to be bullish on Missouri. Our organization, we are going to say good things about Missouri. The governor is going to say good things about Missouri. Cabinet members are going to say good things about Missouri. But it's important that Missourians talk up Missouri too. If Missourians need a boost on their state, go to our website, MissouriPartnership.com, and just check out all the things going on in the state. It's not just food and beverage. We're across all industries. but check it out and be positive about the state, because the more positive we are as Missourians, that spreads to others. And they listen to peers. Companies listen to peers. I'd like to say they listen to us, but they really listen to peers.
What's the biggest strength that Missouri has in agribusiness? What's its biggest strength?
Obviously, the soybean production is high. We're thrilled about the BEX project with that processing facility. We want to continue to see more success and help grow the soybean industry in the state. The fact that we have the Missouri Soybean Merchandising Council and Missouri Soy, these are groups that we would like to bring and help sell the state. We are not subject matter experts. We are generalists, so we bring in experts on occasion when we need to do it. So the fact that we have these groups and we've got producers that are available to us, or they're available to Ashley or to Gary Wheeler, this is important to us. And so that's an absolute asset.
Subhash Alias, the CEO of the Missouri Partnership. This edition of the Missouri Soybean Spotlight podcast is brought to you by Missouri soybean farmers and their checkoff. We're also on the air with the weekly Spotlight on Soybeans. Thank you for listening. I'm Tom Stever.